to Inside the Salesforce Ecosystem, where we deep dive with the leaders, experts, and innovators shaping the future of Salesforce. I'm your host, Luke White, and in every episode, we explore unique journeys, challenges, and insights for those driving success in the ecosystem. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Rebecca Aichholzer, who is a customer success consultant at VISEO, Salesforce MVP, a Golden Hoodie recipient, and Rebecca specializes in technology-driven transformations that enhance efficiency, drive innovation, and foster business growth across various industries. With over 10 years of experience in the Salesforce ecosystem, she is passionate about aligning technology investments with strategic business goals and maximizing Salesforce platform adoption. So, Rebecca, thank you very much for joining me.
No problems. It's great to be here.
Right then, so let's dive straight in. So yeah, I've done an introduction, but it's always nice to hear from yourself. So yeah, give us a little bit of introduction about yourself and also your role at VISEO.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you absolutely nailed my name then. It's Rebecca Aichholzer, but please call me Beck.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
Call me Beck. It's not a problem. I am a Golden Hoodie, as you can see. I'm wearing it here just to show off the bling.
Indeed.
And I've been part, as you said, of the Salesforce ecosystem actually since 2014. So it is my 10th year in the ecosystem last year, so hitting my 11th this year. And it's been an absolutely amazing ride. I have started my Salesforce ecosystem ride at Queensland Investment Corporation, where I was the product owner for the Salesforce platform for a number of years, after having been a national sales manager needing a CRM. So I found Salesforce, and Salesforce definitely found me. I then have been at VISEO for the past year and a half, just over a year and a half now, where I moved into a consulting role from being customer side, so a very different experience. And I've been absolutely loving the journey there. I've spent a great amount of time in the past year and a half working with all types of customers, really getting a broad understanding of all of the other products that are available in the Salesforce ecosystem, because I previously only worked with Sales Cloud. Now I've had exposure to all of the other clouds that are available with all of the wonderful customers that we have at VISEO. And yeah, that's been something that I've been really passionate about doing, is helping them to understand their product roadmaps, understand how they can actually leverage their investment in the platform as well. So it's been great.
Awesome. It's interesting. I've got a similar background to you. I started as an internal sort of CRM consultant and then went on to the dark side or the light side, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. How did you find that change from being, sort of poacher turned gamekeeper, I guess?
It was a really interesting change. I absolutely love that depth of experience and that subject matter expertise you can have working for a customer and being able to not just understand the platform, but also their processes and why they have the processes and how the business works and what makes it tick and how all of the stakeholders come together, to make the business work. So I really loved that depth of experience I had there. But as you say, moving to the dark side, as I sometimes joke about, but not really, it was definitely a leap that I was interested in taking, because as I said, it opens you up to this whole other side of how Salesforce and how the consulting ecosystem works, and being able to actually see how other businesses used Salesforce was really amazing, because I then was able to understand all the different use cases. And I don't understand even half of or a quarter of what use cases could be, but just being able to see how other places used it has really helped me to understand all of these different ways that the platform really benefits and grows different organizations.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it gives you the understanding of what it's like to be the customer as well, which I've worked with some consultants where I just feel like, I'm not sure you've ever been a customer. Like, you've been a consultant from like day one, and maybe you don't feel my pain and I think that gives you some empathy. Maybe did you find that as well, that you can go, I did that as well as a customer?
Yeah, I mean, one of my core beliefs is transparency and honesty. And so I've been able to really, as you say, be empathetic with customers, because I know what it's like from a customer side. I know what it's like to see a demo for something and then, being able to understand that maybe that's the end goal. It's not quite where you're going to start. And so having empathy for customers when you deliver an MVP product to them, and being able to help them understand that this is the start of their journey, rather than, you're not getting the end result of, years of development in the first 3 months. So I've been able to help empathize, and it's helped me to manage expectations better than, maybe someone who hasn't been customer side before, because they might not just understand how businesses work, how the mechanisms work, how the politics and, all of those types of things work from within an organization, and being able to help craft those conversations and help my customers have those conversations with their executive teams has definitely been beneficial to me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, this question always is a tricky one, and I'm not sure there's a real solid answer to it. But what does your typical day look like? Or yeah, I know it's never straightforward in any job. Maybe unless you're working in a supermarket or something quite transactional. But what does your typical day sort of look like?
Gosh, it's actually an interesting question, because for the past year and a half, I've operated in the customer success space, working in an advisory capacity, as well as doing a lot of project management as well. So I've delivered maybe 12 projects in the last year and a half for different customers we've had. And in the past 3 weeks, I've stepped over into a sales role. So it's actually very different than a project management role. But my typical day at the moment looks like working with customers, trying to understand what their objectives are for, the next quarter, the next 6 to 12 months, and seeing how VISEO can actually help them to meet their business objectives. But obviously in the past year and a half or so, my days would look like working with the customers, having stand-ups and, dealing with the internal teams that work on the projects that I've been managing. And depending on the different week or month, I was managing up to, 3 to 4 projects at a time during some of those periods. So I'd say, in short, my days look hectic. No one wants to look at my calendar. I've become quite good at time boxing so that I can get things done. But it's definitely a hectic lifestyle sometimes, and especially transitioning to a new role.
Yeah, sort of organized chaos is always how I describe my calendar. Like
that's
there's
probably
chaos,
a short way
but
of
it's
saying
organized.
it. Mostly organized.
Organized chaos.
Yeah,
Mostly organized, but
yeah.
some information, some chaos
For
in there.
sure.
So I want to touch upon a little bit of, so from working sort of in the property industry to now becoming a Salesforce MVP and Golden Hoodie recipient, which we'll come on to a little bit in a minute. But from where you started to where you are today, what have been some of those sort of like key moments in your career journey to date?
Well, I've talked a lot about in the past, because I've done lots of talks in the ecosystem, because I'm really passionate about sharing my journey with people, to have people sort of recognize that you don't need to come from a technology background to consider yourself someone in technology these days. And so, my very early career, I've done things like advertising, event management, marketing, sales, like all sorts of things. But every role that I've had has always just been building up skills and keeping this sort of wealth of skills and on all of these different things that I've done, because I've taken a really non-linear career trajectory, sort of done lots of different things. And I found myself in a sales space from 2006 onwards through to 2018. I was doing sales for pop-up leasing in shopping centres, which sounds completely different to being a technology consultant now, right? But I did it because I like talking, I like building relationships, and that is really what sales is all about. And so I found myself in that space. I was a national manager for about 25 people in a short-term leasing team, and I didn't have a CRM to support me. So I went to market and found Salesforce, and obviously as a Salesforce platform, it really spoke to me from a sales perspective. I looked at a couple of others and I was like, this platform's it. Went through the whole process, of getting the system implemented, and then I became the accidental admin. And because I didn't have anyone in the IT team able to support me, because it was a brand new product to their stack. And so I kind of took on the role of being a national sales manager while also being an accidental admin and working in that space, and realized that I really understood how technology worked. Am I amazing at it? Can I develop code? No, I'm not that person, but I really understood how how technology can drive business and improve business. And so from there, I I felt like I was, I was in technology, but was I actually really a woman in technology? Don't know. And I started going along to Salesforce ecosystem meetings for women in technology, and realized quite quickly that there was lots of other people that had been thrown into these positions like me and felt like me. They weren't from a technology background, but they did have, a space to play, or a role to play in the technology space in their organization. And so from there, I started to really embrace that and really lean into the technology space, because I actually found it so interesting and enjoyable. And then from there, I think that was really the pivot for me in 2018 or 2019. I moved into a business systems role in Queensland Investment Corporation, where I worked. And from there, I really focused on being the translator between the business and the technology teams, to transform all of the ideas that the business had, and translated that to the technology team that did the build work. So those were kind of some key moments in my life that really pivoted to be where I am today, and why I went from these different roles into a technology space. And now it's sort of come full circle. I'm doing technology sales. So yeah.
There we go. We just merged two
everything.
things together.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it does gives you a well-rounded background, I think, and I think that's what, and you can relate. And obviously, I've had a few conversations with you in the past, etc. And I think that well-roundedness comes across 100%. So I think that's really good. So the Golden Hoodie, it's anyone in the Salesforce ecosystem knows it's a huge moment. It's a huge sign of the recognition, etc. What you've done. But what was it like? Yeah, what was it like getting that gold hoodie, and how did you feel afterwards?
Yeah, well, so it was in 2018. So I'd started doing some small presentations at a world tour in 2017. I was a bit brave, and I thought I'll do a talk. And I'd done a couple of talks to some small user group meetings and things like that. And I got reached out to by Salesforce, and they said to me, "Oh, we'd like to put you up on the main stage at 2018 Sydney World Tour and ask you a few questions." And at this time, the Golden Hoodie, so Mark Tossell had received the Golden Hoodie in 2017, but it was only brand new then. So Mark was the first person in Australia to get the Golden Hoodie. So I didn't think anything of this when Salesforce came to me and said, we want you to come up, we're going to interview you. I was like, okay, speak in front of a couple of thousand people. That's pretty nerve-wracking. I don't remember how I even answered those questions that they asked me, but they got me up on stage. They'd come and filmed a package with me, so they came to my house and filmed me doing things. It was a bit surreal, but I was like, oh, this is nice. I don't mind the limelight. I can say that about myself. And so then I got up on stage, and they asked me the questions, and then they said, oh, and by the way, we'd like to give you a Golden Hoodie, and I was blown away. It was one of the most incredible days, because I had all my friends around me. So I've developed some amazing friendships in the Salesforce ecosystem, and all of my friends were so happy for me and congratulating me, because I was the first woman in Australia to get a Golden Hoodie. So I like to say that I'm like, Mark's great, and but I was the first woman, so it's nice. And then that day was an absolute blur for me, because it was I wore the Golden Hoodie around, even though it was about 30 degrees in Sydney that day. I decided to wear it around because I was so excited, and just the amount of goodwill that I got from people as I was walking around, who were chatting to me and so excited for me to have it. And my imposter syndrome also spiked that day, because I was like, I don't understand why I'm getting this thing. Like, I know I've been a community group leader and I've enjoyed giving back to the community. But, I still was struggling with that concept of me really being a woman in technology, because I hadn't really stepped into the technology space. I was still a sales manager at that time. And so, that was really a pivot point in my life that really changed the way that I thought about myself. And then I've just had such an amazing ride from all of the great opportunities that having a Golden Hoodie has allowed me. I mean, if I didn't have this, I wouldn't be speaking to you today, I'm sure of it. So, these types of things.
I wouldn't say that.
Maybe. But I think it just opened so many new doors for me, and I've been so grateful for the experience that I've had since 2018 when I got it. 2 months after I got the Golden Hoodie, I was invited to India. The Indian Trailblazer community invited me to be a keynote speaker at one of their their community conferences, and I can tell you, I would have never gone to India to do that if I didn't have the Golden Hoodie. I would have never been invited. I would have never been a keynote speaker. So the types of things that I've been able to do have been really rewarding, enriching, and just, generally just very, very good feel-good moments.
No, it's excellent, and it's such a nice story. And to be the first woman in Australia as well must be such a proud moment. It's always nice to be the first, eh?
Yes,
it's always nice.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, is there some feeling of sort of comfort as well, where you see sort of the many other female Golden Hoodie wearers now who have come after you? Do you get some comfort that you may have started that to, or being the first? How does that make you feel as well?
Yeah. Look, I just love, I think it's obviously already clear that I love the Salesforce community. I love the ecosystem that we're in, and it's such a wonderful community that gives back and embraces people, and embraces that you can be a woman in technology, you can be a person of color in technology, you can be all of these different intersectional people within the technology world. It's definitely not something that needs to exclude you or define you anymore, which is amazing. So I think that watching each of the years of people that have got it, there is definitely more women with Golden Hoodies in Australia than there is men. I know that we had our newest Golden Hoodie the other day, Robert. So we have another gentleman. So we've got, I think, three guys and maybe 5 ladies now.
Yep.
But I think that's right. But one of them is Anne. She's from New Zealand, so she's included in our ANZ Goldie cohort. But yeah, it has been really nice to watch the recognition that people have had over the past few years as well. So yeah, it definitely is feel good for me.
I think the community really stands out as a difference between all the other big sort of tech firms out there, and I think the diversity as well. So women and LGBT community, etc. I think is something that's really good. Was that something that obviously you wouldn't have known about when you first started working with Salesforce? But how do you feel that's like one of the most important things about Salesforce is the community?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was the community that helped me to find my place. If I hadn't found out about the first Women in Tech, user group meeting that I went to, again, I say this with all honesty, I don't think I'd be where I am today. It's what gave me the confidence and the in myself to really make myself feel like I was a person in technology and that I could do things that maybe I'd pigeonholed myself into not being able to do beforehand. So I definitely think that the community has played a huge factor in that. The other thing being is that, I've got so many international friends now as a result of being in this community. When I started out and I had questions about things, going onto the Trailblazer community pages and just asking questions that I didn't know the answers to, and having just people from around the world answering those questions for me and then engaging with me and connecting with me and then, helping me along the way. I don't know where else you get that kind of support. So I definitely think that it's been, an invaluable part of my Salesforce journey.
No, excellent. And I think it's one thing that to all the people I've spoken to on this podcast, the community shines bright for sure. And I think that's a really nice thing as well. And it's not directly related to Salesforce. We just got this common bond of Salesforce, so then everything else is sort of comes off it. And I've made some good friends, and I hear about people making lifelong friends, with just because of the community as well. So I think that's a really nice thing to hear as well.
Yeah.
So I'd be amiss not to ask you, as I've got you here, to talk about the partnership between VISEO and PDF Butler, which sort of started with Karnak before VISEO and sort of acquired Karnak. But yeah, what's your thoughts on how the partnership between us works and how PDF Butler supports the clients and the impact on the projects that you work on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done a number of projects. As I said, I've been a project manager on about 12 projects in the last year and a half. And PDF Butler is actually featured in a number of those projects that we've done, including a project that's actually about to go live in the next week or two. But I've really enjoyed the PDF Butler relationship. I must admit that I didn't actually know about you guys before I started in the consulting ecosystem, but it was quickly presented to me as a product that that VISEO used quite frequently and recommended to a lot of our customers on the projects that they do. And it is such a great solution for lots of our different requirements that our customers have. And I think not just the fact that you've got PDF Butler, but you've got Form Butler and a lot of other products, Sign Butler as well. You've got this really nice product stack that you've worked on that it works well together. It's very simple solution. It meets so many of our customers' requirements, and it's very simple to implement too, which is great. So I've found the relationship amazing. I've found the support that you've got incredible as well, because sometimes we come up with something, we think, oh, there must be a way that we can do this particular requirement, because as we know, customers always have requirements that are maybe different than what we might expect. And so your team has always been so flexible with us as well to say, this is how we think that you could achieve that. And oftentimes you'll even put those suggestions onto your backlog and you'll deliver them sometimes even before we've finished a project. So I don't want to tell anyone else that you move that quickly sometimes, but really that's the level of I guess trust that we have between our teams as well, is that if we're giving you some suggestions for things, you really take them on, you consider them, and you do build them out if you think there's value in it for other customers as well. So I've really enjoyed working with the team.
Yeah, I think for us, innovation is core, and our
Mhm.
founder and CEO, that's the pieces that we love. It's the building the new stuff. That's
Yeah.
good, and we want to hear it. And we can, any vendor can be quite blinkered in terms of, right, this
Yeah.
is what we do. But when it's
Mhm.
out there in the real world, you go, do you know what? That's a great idea.
Mm.
Let's get ahead and look at how we can best solve that. So that's always been a key part of what we try to do as well.
Yeah.
So talking about customers there, what are some of the sort of the most common challenges you come into, not necessarily with PDF Butler or document generation requirements, but just in general, and how do you sort of address them and move the customer forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are some very common challenges that all customers have, and one of the things that I'm most passionate about is actually change management. So it's fine to actually do a project. It's fine to get business alignment on what a project is. It's good to deliver the project and for us all to say, yes, we've gone live with that. But the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the adoption of the platform, the engagement from the end users in using it, and having the business realize all of the objectives that they set out at the start. Because the only way to continue building a Salesforce platform for an organization is to realize the success of the platform they already have. And if you can realize the success by meeting objectives and having a high adoption of the platform and people are actually using it, then you're able to ask the business to help you fund further investment in the platform, leveraging the investment that you've got and growing it in different places in the organization or bringing new team members onto it. But it is absolutely core to the platform to have change management activities. And a lot of companies don't understand the benefit of doing this. The right communications at the right times, the right training and engagement for people, having the resources to help people learn the way they like to learn. Because I'm sure you would understand that, some people like to be hands-on. Some people learn from listening to people and some people learn from reading. And if you only, because oftentimes trainers will train the way they like to receive training.
Yeah.
And it neglects all of those people that learn in other ways. So that can actually be a core reason why a platform isn't engaged with or successful when it goes live, because if people have only received a step-by-step guide, but they're a visual learner or a hands-on learner, then that's going to be a problem. So those sort of core tenets of change management and making sure that the business is actually ready for that change if you don't get that right, and a lot of businesses unfortunately don't, they can see their investment in the technology waning, reducing, and it's unfortunate because of the amount of effort that's gone into actually achieving that result. So yeah, that for me, I'd say is probably one of the most common things that I see.
Yeah, it's communication is vital, and making sure that
Yep.
everyone's aligned and etc. as well. I also feel, how do you manage sometimes having to challenge the customer? Because I found in the past that our customers like, well, this is the way we do it. We've done this way for 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean it's the best way. How do you manage to sort of try to get that across as well, and challenge them?
Yeah, it's a good question, because you're absolutely right. There's always people that are like, but we've always done it this way, and they can almost be sort of a no, there's a great word, but maybe like a terrorist when you're sitting in all of those process meetings where you're reviewing what it is that they actually do now, and how can we shift the process to change into the future to be more efficient and streamlined. And they're like, well, it's working now. Why do we need to do this? So I've had a lot of practice, I'd say, in since I started working with Salesforce platform in 2014. I learned by doing, because I actually built the Salesforce platform as a rebuild of another platform that I already had that was not good enough. So I built the processes we had, and then I didn't challenge myself enough. So I ended up in the same hole. So I had to do rebuilds. And so I learned by doing that you need to challenge your own thought processes and others' thought processes. So I am never backwards about coming forwards and asking, why would you do that? What makes you think that that's the right way to do it? Have you considered these things? And I think that my job as a consultant is to challenge. I'm able to be outside of the business unit and say, I'm just curious why you would do that. I'm not in the business, and maybe there's a good reason for it. So just explain that to me, so that I can understand. And if I still don't understand, I might just ask you some more questions why. Because what you're really looking for there is for people to have that aha moment, because they go, oh, and when they say the words, it's because that's the way we've already done it, or that's the way I was trained. Those they start to realize, actually that's not a good reason as to why we shouldn't change, right? So you see those light bulb moments that happen when you're sitting in those discovery workshops, and you drill down and you ask why, and you challenge. As soon as people go, oh yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why actually that person. You're like, I've got you, right? So that's the type of stuff that you're really looking for when you're going through those workshops and challenging. And look, sometimes you can fall into a trap of just going, like, taking, okay, yep, that's no problem, we can do it that way, and then you get yourself into a hole and you think, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. We need to change that or fix it. But you'll then have the aha moment, and you'll realize, okay, I've done this, and I know where I'm at now. But I always say, just ask why are you doing it? Question yourself, question others, and always say this is a no judgment zone. Like, I'm nearly every workshop I have, it starts with, this is a no judgment zone. I want you to share your ideas, share your reasons why. And this is just a dialogue. It's just a conversation about how we can get the best result, because I want you every day to go home feeling like you were happy using the platform that you're using all day, because I know you're not happy right now. So that's kind of how I frame everything.
Yeah. I also think that most customers, when I've been a consultant in a previous life, actually it builds trust when you challenge and ask the question why. It's like, oh, okay, so you do actually care about my project. You're not just going, I'll take orders and just do what you tell me. I think that builds trust as well, long-term relationships.
Absolutely. If you don't, building trust is critical. I think that's part of building relationships. And it's part of why I have really enjoyed working with all of the different customers, because I get to establish these new trusted relationships with each of them. And yeah, I can't say that I'm the softest person in the room. I do challenge. I sometimes will say, look, I'm just going to be blunt, but I'm going to preface it by saying I'm going to be blunt, because I want them to know that they can trust me. As you say, I'm transparent. I will be honest. I might even say, look, I'm not sure I agree with that. I'll note it for now, but maybe we could circle back and have another conversation about that, because my job is to make sure that your platform that we build works for you, because I don't want you calling me 2 months later and saying it doesn't work. So I need to get to a point where, you know, we have trusted what we're building, we've signed off on it, we've agreed, you know, and we're on this journey together, and we have an alignment for how we're going to deliver, you know, what it is we're going to deliver.
Yeah, perfect. So Salesforce. Now, we all know that it's an evolving beast and it's moving at probably 1 billion miles an hour at the moment. But what's your approach to trying to keep up to date with what's happening in the Salesforce world, the new developments, the new features, Agentforce 2.0, which will soon be Agentforce 6.0, probably, I'm sure, in a blink of an eye. So how do you manage that whilst obviously doing, probably tomorrow, whilst doing the day job as well?
It's a really good question. So it becomes overwhelming. I'll be perfectly honest. It can be really hard to stay up to date. And I would say that everyone probably feels that way. I don't think that there's any one person I've ever spoken to that has perfected the way of keeping up to date, except maybe Robert Lopez, who was the newest Goldie this week. I found out that every morning he wakes up and he searches for the newest trailhead badges that have been released, and he does them that day. So he's probably the most up-to-date person I've heard of. But on the most part, you know, when I started with the ecosystem in 2014, you know, there really was not the only, but sales and service were the most used products from Salesforce. And even then, it felt like I couldn't get on top of the, you know, all of the stuff that they were doing back then. And as more products have come on board and acquisitions and all sorts of things, there's just no way to be on top of everything. So you really just have to pick your battles, pick the things that you're passionate about, and just try and get as much knowledge about those things as you can. Because if I tried to get knowledge about everything, I just would be, you know, I would be dumb at everything. So for me, I really love sales, I really love service, and I really love AI. So I've been doing my best to keep up to date with a lot of the AI stuff. VISEO built out an Agentforce agent for one of our customers, and went live on the 31st of I think 24th of January, but by the end of January, we'd gone live with an agent with them. So we're one of the lucky partners that's been able to implement agents already for our customers, and seeing, you know, how they're using it and what they actually are going to be doing with it into the future. And that's been really exciting to be part of that journey, because it's given me a really early taste of what it looks like to put agents into orgs, and how that's going to really change the world and change the way that people work every day. So you just have to find the things that you're passionate about and focus on those, because you're never going to be an expert in everything.
Yeah, I don't think you can be a Salesforce expert. I think you have to pick your lanes within there, because I think, like you said, it'd be a full-time job just to keep up to date with it. That would be your job. That'd be the life. Yeah. So last couple of questions. So as we start to wind down, if you could go back and give yourself some advice when you were starting the journey in the Salesforce ecosystem, what do you think it would be?
I think probably one of the first pieces of advice I would give myself would be to dive into the certifications a bit earlier. So I'd been using Salesforce from 2014, and I only got the admin certification when I was in 2017. So I've been 3 years using the platform, just muddling my way through without any formal certifications or anything like that, not following best practice most of the time, because I didn't know that existed as a thing. In 2017 I got my first one, and I'm up to 13 now, which is great. But I think that I should have given myself a nudge and done that a bit sooner. That's probably one of the things I would have given myself advice to do. I think they really are important to solidify your knowledge, but also, you know, because it's a global certification, it's recognizable wherever you go. So, you know, that's something that I think it would be really beneficial to make sure that other people do that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think sometimes there's so many of them as well. It's like, where'd you start? And I think the admin one's the one to start with. Yeah, exactly.
It's a good one.
And the AI ones are being good. Yeah. The AI ones are being good as well. And they're still free. I believe they're still free to do as well, which is
great. End of the year, I think.
Yeah.
So it's still lots of time.
Plenty of time. Right. So last question, and a question we always like to end on. So outside of work, how do you recharge? What hobbies, interests? What sort of keeps you motivated and keeps you fresh for the workday as well?
Yeah, it's a good question. I used to do a lot of strength training and weightlifting. Oh, well, powerlifting
Okay.
is what I actually did. I represented
Ah,
Australia in 2012 and 2013, and I was I really enjoyed lifting up until a couple of years ago, and I had to have back surgery, and it wasn't because of lifting,
oh.
but ever since then I'm like a bit too cautious about it, and I really, I keep on thinking maybe I should get back to doing that. But I don't know. My husband and I absolutely love to try new restaurants. I'd say we're a couple of foodies. We like nice drinks and
Yeah.
nice food, so we go out and find nice restaurants in Brisbane, or if we're traveling, we find different places around Australia and the world to eat different foods. And I'd say that I actually really love travel. So it's my favorite thing to do. Traveled I think I've traveled to about 50 countries now. I love just exploring the world, and I try to learn different languages. I know a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of German, not a lot of English. I'm terrible at it. But yeah, I really enjoy traveling, and if I'm not traveling, I'm planning traveling. So if travel agents paid more money, maybe I would have done that, but I don't think they do. So I just do all my own travel bookings myself and researching. So it's just a huge passion of mine. And probably the last thing would be I'm an absolute trivia nerd. So I like to do trivia nights with my family and friends. So yeah, I'm a bit of a competitor.
Nice.
I like to win.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, it's good stuff. And I think everyone just needs to do that separation from the work life. I think, and so we work from home today, especially in tech. A lot of us work from home, so trying to
Mm,
get away from the desk, I think, is vital as well. So it sounds
yeah.
like sounds like a good mix. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Well, thank you, Beck, for joining me.
No
Absolute
problem.
pleasure to have you. It was great to meet you earlier this week as well,
Yeah, for sure.
at Sydney World Tour. So it was fantastic to
Mm-hmm.
meet you as well. And yeah, look forward to continuing to work with you. And yeah, thank you very much
And
for joining.
thank you for having me, and thanks for being a great partner.
Absolute pleasure. Cheers. Tk you. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.
Cool. Thank you very much.
All good?
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, all good. Yeah, hotel Wi-Fi. Just like sometimes, just stay with me. Stay
Yep.
with me. Don't faint. Don't faint. Yeah, no, absolute pleasure. Thank you for carving out time. I know you're super busy, so yeah,
All
really
good.
appreciate it.
No
Yeah,
problem.
and we were my marketing team is like 75% women, and I'm like, guys, we need some more women on this podcast. Like, we've just had all like white men. Like, let's
Oh,
get some more
really?
women on here. So yeah, so it's good
No.
to mix it up. It's good. So that's that. Thank you very much, and yeah, pleasure. Yeah, and enjoy. Any next travel plans booked? What have you got next? Have you got a big
No, well,
adventure?
I just got back from Europe. I went for 5 weeks in
Yeah, you did.
November and
Yeah, you did
December.
Iceland.
I
Yeah.
did Iceland. I did 5 days London, 7 days Iceland, and then I did one of those old people's European river cruises from Amsterdam down to Budapest for 15 days. And
Ah, nice. They're good
it was
though.
it
Yeah.
was so good, but I think I put on I think I calculated 7 kilos because I ate so much and drank so much on the boat. But had
That's
a good
yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Any next
no travel
destinations?
plans yet.
Have you
Sorry.
have you got like a bucket list destination that you haven't
Well,
ticked off yet?
Iceland was my bucket list. Like I'm a big fan of
Okay.
history, so I've done a lot of historical places. So probably a couple of things like Petra in Jordan, and I'd
Mm,
really like to do like some places in Mexico. I've done Mexico, but only some of it. So just I really like historical things. I've done the Roman ruins in Turkey and Italy, and I've done Egypt, and I've done a bunch of different things, but
yeah.
and Peru and all of those types of things. But I just yes, Iceland was my bucket list, and now I've done that, so now I've got to find something new. So probably
Yeah, and
Antarctica.
something new.
That's probably a good one.
Yeah.
Mm.
That would be a good one.
Yeah, I've done the
Absolutely. Cool.
Arctic. I haven't done
Right.
the Antarctic.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice, excellent. Yeah,
All right.
awesome. Well, thank you, Beck. I'll let you
No
go.
problem.
For an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good
I'll talk to you
weekend.
later.
All right,
Bye.
all right. Cheers.
Safe
Bye bye.
travels. Bye.